Hey guys, benpaines here, and today we're back once again for another video, and this time we are down at Teamsport Bristol for the third and final round of the second version of the Grid Series. Now this one was split into just a bit of a strange format. It's in fact exactly the same as the BIKC Regional format, with qualifying, 2 heats, a semi-final or pre-final in this case, and then a final. Now as we are looking at the footage, you're currently watching the semi-final, and later on it is going to skip into the final, because me being an absolute moron, I thought I would save some of the battery life and skip out qualifying, skip out the 2 heats, and just jump straight into the action of the semi-final and the final. However, unfortunately, nothing seemed to happen in the semi-final or the final, and all the action seemed to kick off in the 2 heats, so a bit annoying. Apologies about that. However, before we jump into the rest of the footage, if you do enjoy this video, can you please leave a like on the video down below, and if you're new to the channel, if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button, as I really do appreciate it and it helps me out a lot. We're getting up very close to 400 subscribers, and I would honestly be thrilled if we could reach that very soon. I thank you guys every single time. I wouldn't be making these videos without you lot. So giving you guys a little bit of a brief overview, we did in fact qualify in 6th position behind some of the drivers that are up ahead of us. We were behind Aiden Dancer in the red helmet there. We have Aaron in front of him, Sam, Harley and Kelvin. These guys all started in front of me for the 2 heats, and obviously wherever you qualify in these races is then where you start in both of the heats. Now in the first heat we managed to get up to 4th position by overtaking Aiden and Aaron. However, as we overtook Aaron, who was in 5th, we then made our way into this position solidly. We then went for an overtake on Aiden. However, we just got run a little bit wide, and this allowed Aaron to slip down the inside of both of us. So we finished the first heat in 5th position, obviously then pushed back to 6th for the second heat, where we overtook 3 people going into the very bottom hairpin that we've just gone round there. However, we stayed in 3rd, I believe, for a majority of the race before getting caught up by Sam Gaskell and being put down to 4th, so we gained 2 positions. However, as we came off at the end of the heat, we were in fact administered a 5-second penalty, which dropped us down to 11th overall, and this is why we are in 7th place, or started in 7th place for the semi-final, which is what we are watching now. And you can see that we are right on the back of Aiden and Robbie, who are up ahead of us. We've got a bit of work to do if we want to try and find our way past these guys. Obviously they're a lot lighter than us, and they were getting some absolutely insane drives coming up the ramp and going into some of the straighter parts of the track. So I was trying to bide my time here, waiting to see when a good opportunity for overtaking would come forward. However, you can see that we are in fact just stuck in the train at this point in time. Aaron's sort of in no man's land in the middle, and then we have Harley, Sam and Kelvin who are racing off into the distance. However, we have come across the line with our fastest lap so far in this session with a 37.861, a pretty solid lap time. However, with the current state of the track at the moment, with the new tyres on the front and rear of the karts, low 37-second lap times are definitely possible. Now you can see here, Robbie is all over the back of Aiden here, and he goes for a quick lunge up the inside into the top hairpin. However, he just makes a little bit of a rookie mistake and holds the kart out wide going into the second hairpin, and this allows me the opportunity to slip down the inside and gain a free position up into 6th place. And now I solely had my eyes set on Aiden up ahead, and I just said to Robbie there, look, if we can both get a head down, then we will be able to put him under enough pressure and be able to get past him later in the race. Now we do skip on a little bit further into the race here, as honestly not a lot happened, and instead we were just sat behind Aiden. We weren't really gaining any ground to him, and we also weren't really losing too much ground to him, but we were working together to catch up to Aaron, who was situated in 4th position. So ground had been made, and you can see that the guys in the top 3 were also beginning to be closed up on, not at an excessive rate where we were going to be able to overtake all of them. However, we were catching up slowly until we got to this top section of the track, where we just had Robbie send a big move up our inside, doesn't quite have the momentum to get past, and this just throws us off of our rhythm, and we just lose a whole heap of time unfortunately there. And from being out of range of some of the others. I think it just lost a little bit of momentum in my own head, and this is just honestly where we ended up staying for the rest of the race. So with that in mind, we do in fact skip to the very last lap of the race, where we catch up to one of the back markers behind us. I was hoping that they were going to let us pass, but unfortunately they kept on blocking our path. I wasn't quite sure where to make a way past until they finally see us and decide to wave us through going into the bottom hairpin. I had to go quite defensive here, as I knew that Robbie was going to look to come up our inside. Due to the checker flag being waved there, I wasn't entirely sure if the race had finished, because as we continue to go around the track here, you can see that we are closing up to Aiden and Aaron up ahead, but we haven't actually come into the pits. So I decided to carry on trying to push on as we got to the line. However, as soon as we got to it, we just weren't close enough. You can see how much time we lost there on that lap as we come around to the yellow flag. So with this in mind, we are going to skip forward into the final now, and we are going to see where we end up in the second race of the evening. So we are jumping into the second and final race of the evening, or the final should I say. It's actually the fourth race of the evening, so I don't know what I'm talking about. Lining up in 6th position with this rolling start. Obviously the finishing positions from the semi-final or pre-final, as there wasn't 2 groups, dictated the starting positions for the very last race. Now this was a pretty strange one for me, as we just got off to a really poor start, and I wasn't entirely sure if it was me driving or if it was in fact the car had just given up, because as you will see when the lights go green, as we get underway, we just lose so much time in the first couple of laps, and I wasn't entirely sure what it was. I wasn't changing how I was driving at all compared to earlier in the evening. I just think that honestly the car overheated, or my brain just shut down, because as you'll see, the guys in front of us in the top 5 all just break away out of every corner so easily compared to me, and I honestly don't think I was driving much differently to how I was earlier in the evening. You see the gap that's been created just from going up the ramp. I wasn't entirely sure what to do about that, and again, coming into the top 2 corners, I do take a bit of a different line compared to everyone else, but I find that it is comfortable for me. And as we come down the ramp into the very last corner here through the double apex at the bottom of the ramp, you can just see the gap that has been created already as we come across the line with a 38.193, which isn't exactly a slow time for a first lap of a race, but it clearly just wasn't on the pace that it was meant to be compared to the others who were pulling at least a second or 2 on me already. And I look over my shoulder here and notice that Robbie behind me, who was in 7th, had been taken out, and there was just a huge gap behind me as well. So I was just in the middle of nowhere at this point, and this is honestly how the race ended for quite a lot of it. So we are going to skip forward in this one as we round out the last corner, just due to the fact that honestly I don't really want to show you guys just laps of me driving around by myself. It just doesn't really make much sense. So we do skip forward into this one quite late into the final. You can see the car began to heat up or warm up here, and I also decided to get my head down, get some solid lap times. I was being quite consistent in the mid 37 second lap times, our last lap being a 37.636. However, it just wasn't quick enough to keep up with the guys who were up ahead of us. The guys in the top 3 had broken away once again, Sam, Kelvin and Harley, and instead we had Aiden and Aaron up ahead of us. And again, we just had Robbie who had managed to catch up. I saw that he had quite a lot of pace behind me, so I was going to look for a switch back here, but then I just decided to sit in behind him and try and work together with him. He gives me the universal signal to try and push him along, because I just knew that he was a little bit quicker than me on the evening by, well, he seemed to catch up with me out of nowhere from being so far behind. So I thought if I sit in behind him, follow him along and just try and close the gap or bridge the gap to the guys up ahead without fighting with him too much. But you can see coming out of the Mickey Mouse section, I look back and Robbie has teleported about 50 kart lengths ahead of us, so I don't actually know what was going on. I was getting a little bit more annoyed as this went on, and I think this then led to me driving a little bit worse. You can see this time on this occasion the back marker lets us through immediately, so we dive down the inside and try and tag onto the back of Robbie as much as we can. But we can just see down the straights we're just losing so much time, and I just couldn't really put my finger on why this was the case, especially as I was closing up on him so much through the corners. So you can see again giving us another universal signal to get our head down and try and catch up, but I knew that this was all going to be in vain, because I just honestly couldn't keep up with him or the other guys that are up ahead of us. So you can see just the amount of speed and time that I'm losing going up the ramp and then coming back down the ramp once again. I'm just losing so much time in these sections, and this might be due to the fact that I hadn't been to the track since round 2 was the last time that I came to the track. However, we are going to skip forward here once again, and this, what you are watching now, is in fact our fastest lap of the evening. So our last lap was a 37.640 and our fastest lap so far is a 36.636. So we're being really consistent in our lap times. We were definitely slap bang in the middle of the 37-second lap times. I am getting increasingly more annoyed. You can see how much time I'm losing going up the ramp. So maybe if I didn't have this, I would have been even quicker yet again. However, we really are getting these corners nailed here, hitting the apexes quite well and trying to get as good a drive out of the corner as we can. Rounding out the last one here, trying to minimise the amount of slip that we're getting from the back end of the car, and we do come across the line with a 37.516, which I was really happy with. It was up there in the top 5, I believe, of fastest laps of the evening, and compared to the evening that we're having at this point, I was really happy with this lap time. Now I am going to leave you here with the last couple of laps in this race, but in all honesty, we didn't make much progress. So we did in fact end up finishing this one in 7th position, which was in fact 3rd place in the middleweight category on the evening, because obviously up ahead of us we have got Robbie, Aiden, Sam and Kelvin, who are all lightweights, and ahead of us we had Harley and Aaron. So we finished in 3rd on the evening, but this did in fact leave us in 1st place overall for the middleweight championship win. This is our 2nd championship that we've won in grid series in a row for the middleweight category, and I'm really happy with this. Now obviously Harley was a lot quicker than us in this one, and he was also a lot quicker than us in the 2nd round. However, due to him not doing the 1st round, this led to him finishing in 3rd overall. Despite missing around, he still put up an amazing fight, finishing on the podium, with Andreas finishing 2nd place in the middleweights behind me. However, as we come across the line on this lap, this does in fact bring us to the end of the video. So I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you have, can you please leave a like on the video down below and subscribe to the channel for more videos in the future if you haven't already, or if you're new to the channel, as I really do appreciate it. Down in the description this time I have in fact got my link tree attached, which will give a link to all of the socials that I run or I am a part of, so feel free to check those out. But in the meantime, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.